believers, YouTubers, Shofarians. I've already gone and done some chores this morning, and I heard Pastor. Oh, I gotta share that little doodad with you. Just love the colors. I heard Pastor talking on a topic, and I thought he has his point of view. And don't get me wrong, my husband's been in the military, Special Forces officer for 17 years, 20 years Army. He knows, he's been trained, right, in many, many topics. And the topic he's talking about is motivating unmotivated people. I have my own take on it, and I would like to give my opinion as well, not as a counterman to my husband's, but to add dimension to the whole picture of motivating unmotivated people. And I think his basic premise of getting people back to what it is that causes people to prep and get ready for emergencies, what gets them together, what is the main plan behind any group, is a really good point to start. And I just wanted to say, in my experience, sort of in a different realm, I have not been doing the prepping thing as long as I'm doing like the mothering thing and the ministry thing. And what I have found in ministering and mothering people is your words can't actually convince people too much. I mean, how can I say it? If you have someone who is not motivated at all, unless there's something in them that can relate to your words won't necessarily convince a person to do a thing. So let's talk about prepping. And, you know, my channel's been up for about 7 years, 5 years, 7 years, something like that. And I have done some videos on prepping. And I've also had, thousands of comments, and I do read the comments. I'm not so big that I can't read each comment, at least not right now. And the comments where a person said, hey, my wife was not into this stuff, but then this thing happened, like a fire or an ice storm or a winter storm happened in their area. I'm trying to, you can tell I keep moving it around. I'm trying to find a place where I can sort of set this thing and it'll be basically stable. I didn't want to have to set up a whole tripod because to me that's a lot of trouble. Okay, back to what we were talking about. My spouse was not on board until we had a mudslide, until we had a fire, until a train exploded in the middle of our town and we were evacuated. And then that person sees the beauty, the essentialness of being prepared for an emergency. And I think that's where Pastor and I agree. And then I'm going to watch Pastor's video, get the wisdom from it. Action. Action is often what convinces people. And at the basis of the action versus the words structure, formality, however you want to phrase it, is the East-West belief system as well. We Westerners, we are considered Westerners, learn through the words, give us the knowledge, give us the instructions, and then we'll do the thing and learn. Easterners do the thing and learn through doing it. So we Westerners, there's the whole talkie at the beginning of it. It is kind of difficult to get someone to understand the importance of prepping, even if you say things like by buying food today and buying extra and putting it up, you're actually going to be saving money over the long run, because when the emergency happens and you start eating that food, you're eating food that you put away at a different price than the food would cost at the time that the emergency happens. So if I bought a bunch of tuna last year and then 6 months later I get laid off, and we have had we have had friends we personally know have this happen to them. Now they're eating that tuna 6 months later, and if they went to buy that same tuna at the store, it would cost 5 cents more a can. So they're eating food that is at yesterday's prices in today, and it's actually cheaper than if they had to go out and buy it. So you're saving money if you prep. And you're saving yourself a whole lot of grief, because in that circumstance where our friend was laid off, they had reduced income, obviously, but they did not have to be concerned about where their next meal came from because they had stored up over a year's worth of supplies. And so he was out of work for a few months. They ate down their emergency supplies. Not a burden. He got hired on, and then can replace the supplies that they ate. And it's a much less stressful situation. Now, if I say that to someone who's never been laid off, they may not be able to relate to that particular example. But if you've been laid off, that example may suddenly make sense to you. And so if you have people who have expressed an interest in preparing but don't seem motivated by it, that, in my opinion, action helps them relate. So, following on the heels of, if you have a group that is agreed to do prepping things together, setting up some kind of training is important because you can make the training begin the action. For instance, your first training in your prep group is for people to learn CPR. CPR is a class in which you're going to be able to listen for a little while, but eventually the teacher's going to want each and every person in that class to demonstrate that they can do the technique properly. And so if a person wasn't connecting mentally with the words of the class, by the time you get down to, I have to do CPR, they're going to be able to connect through the action. Another example would be if we're talking about food preps. Have one of your trainings be, we are going to prepare that food, and not just the leader. The leader's not going to prepare it and then bring it and feed everybody. Everyone in the group needs to be ready to do these things. So have everyone in the group bring some of their prepping supplies. And as a leader, you have a few extra in case people can't. And everybody cook rice over a fire, or everybody make cornbread from cornmeal that everybody has to grind. So they learn through doing, because wisdom is knowledge plus experience. So you have to experience things to get wisdom. You can't get it just from the knowledge. And so that's my suggestion to you all is get people who don't seem motivated into some kind of action. It can be touring a fire department and talking to the firefighters about what they have to do in a fire. It can be going to City Hall and talking to someone there about what their emergency procedures are for your town, and have them go with you. So when that person shares them, you're not then sharing it. They hear it in their own ears, and they can decide for themselves, how that's going to affect their life. It's actions to make the wisdom through the knowledge that you give them, and then the experience of doing. Another way to do experience is to go to like a farm. If people want to know about cows and goats and all that stuff, and how to milk them and what it tastes like, take them to a farm and have them experience those things so they learn for themselves. So that's my main little drop of knowledge for you all, is action. To motivate people, do actions somehow. All right. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We are going to have to get to work. Bless you. Shalom.